In Buddhist tradition, we usually start the ceremony by asking for precept, and there's a lot of questions about this precept, whether it is something that was the lay Buddhist was forbidden to do something that they don't like or not. But actually, precept is not like the do's or don'ts. There's no one really forbid you to do something that you don't like. If you look closely in the ceremony of requesting the precept, the Pali word that used in the ceremony is actually from the people who want to take this precept into their life, to put it into practice. So there's a word of sikha, which means education. So in this way, the precept itself become part of the education system. When we learn not to do things according to the precept, we have to develop our wisdom and virtue to help us to be able to sustain this precept. For example, the first precept, we are refrained from killing or taking life of other being. In order to be able to keep this precept in a sustainable way, we have to develop the virtues of metta, kindness, and compassion. So if you look at the relationship between keeping the precept and cultivations of Dhamma or wisdom, you see that there's a close link between these two. Because that if we don't develop our kindness and compassion, how could we refrain ourselves from hurting or taking life of other living beings? There's a time that we feel angry or unhappy or don't like or feel that this could cause some harm to us for the one we love. We want to get rid of it, or want to deal with it in a violent way. But keeping the precept helps us to see that how this thing affect the developments of our own mind. So in this way, I will put in this way that actually precept become the tools for education. It also becomes something like a test, because there's a saying that to be able to keep yourself within this framework of precept, the 5 precepts, you have to develop your wisdom, your understanding about life to the level that become one of the first level of enlightenment, the Sotapanna. So which means that when you are putting 5 precepts into your life, you are imitating. You are trying to put your life in the shoes of Sotapan. So you learn, you know how would they feel about living their life. So you can see that how it can be difficult for many people that we still don't develop our wisdom in the mind to that level. But it doesn't mean that if it's like that, we shouldn't do it at all. But as it becomes a test and also become a tool for us for our own education, it helps us to develop in this way. So if we take the liberations of suffering is the final goal or the ultimate goal of our life, this is the way that we are trying to do with our life. Because of us, we don't want to be suffer, right? We want to be free from our own suffering. So if the ultimate goals of our life is to liberate ourselves from all the suffering, so the life of the Sotapanna, the enlightened one, is our goal. So putting in it this way, you see that taking precept is not something that someone try to stop you, forbid you to do thing, or someone from the top level tell you not to do thing or to do thing anymore. But it's more on you yourself, willing to take it and try to see it when you do it, and how it change your own mind, how it affect your way of seeing things. Another example is that the precept of telling a lie. Usually in life, it's not that bad that people try to cheat or people try to tell lie to get personal gain. But we are dealing with a situation that sometimes it's quite difficult to tell the truth. Sometimes we have to deal with our loved one that if we tell them the truth, they will feel bad about it, or they will feel unhappy about it. So what should we do about them in this situation? Or when we deal with a situation that telling a lie is easy than telling the truth. Most people tend to go for something easy, right? You just tell lies and then everything will be fine. But if you observed it and study it in the wrong period of time, see it in a large context, you see that it's not like that. The most important thing about this kind of precept that if you tell lies and you lose your trust, people lose your trust in you. This one is very difficult to develop it back again. So it's very important. But then when you are dealing with the situation, how would you deal with it? This comes to part of education. It provides you opportunity that you can look at it, seeing it, what is the best way that you should do in this situation. Whether you should tell a lie right away, or whether you should try to do something better than that. In this way, you have some time to develop your wisdom. You think about it. Because if you take the easy way, you just don't have to think about it, you just tell a lie, that's it, right? But then if you think about it, you take your time. Sometimes we find that actually there is a better way to do this. You don't have to tell the lie. For example, when you have to tell the bad news for the patient who got cancer, it would be difficult, right? If you just tell them right away that they are getting the last stage of cancer and they're going to die in a few days. This is a news that would be very, very difficult for anyone who gets it, right? So it wouldn't be a skillful way for anyone who saying that, oh, I try to keep the precept, so I tell them the truth right away. Because you have to see that if you tell the truth like this, how would they feel about it? How would it affect with them? They probably feel so sad. Instead of saying for a few more days, and it could affect their conditions or affect their illness. So in this way that, but if you take the precept into consideration, try to put it into practice, you have opportunity that to think about it. Yes, if I tell all the truth, it could bring negative effect. What should I do? But if I tell all the lie, It doesn't mean that you bring all good, all positive thing into this situation, because in the end they will eventually know anyway. So what is the best way that I can do in this situation? Usually when we think about it, we can start by trying to be skillful in telling bad news, starting from something that not so difficult. Maybe starting with telling the patient that the doctor found something that could be serious, and see how they react toward it. Sometimes when we tell all this bad news, and then you see that people can accept them quite well, then you can continue or go on. Or in the end, who knows, maybe they are able to deal with the situation very well, better than we expect. There's a lot of people I know trying to hide the truth from their relatives about getting cancer, but actually the patient knows. So actually they hide this from each other and don't have time to really talk to each other about the real problem. So when the ends of life come, so death come without having the time to really talk about it, or saying goodbye, or trying to do something before they know that they can have to be parted from each other forever. But knowing it, knowing the truth, help them to be able to sit and talk together, and try to do something that they can do together during the last period of life. So in this way, who knows? If we try to keep our precept and put all these precepts into our practice, it helps us to have the tools to develop our wisdom all the time, because it provides the frameworks of the right action in terms of our body and speech, and then it helps us to see, to evaluate what is the best possible way in each situation. The reason that I try to explain the precept in a way that it becomes the tools of our education in everyday life is because that in Thai society, a lot of people think that precept is something that we are forbidden to do things. We shouldn't do that, and we shouldn't do this. And once we make it wrong, once we not keeping one precept, it destroys the whole thing. So in this way, people tend to feel that since I cannot keep anything, so I don't keep it at all. But if you put into different perspective that the precept actually is a tool for your education, the tool that help you to develop your own virtue, and actually become the tool that help you yourself to be happier, to find happiness in life. Because that in keeping precept, you know that you believe that what you are doing is a good thing. When you look at your own action, whether it's physical actions or from your own speech, there's nothing wrong in it, and you can feel proud of yourself. You feel happy about your own action. This is happiness. You look at your life and there's nothing wrong. So this becomes another happiness in your life. So in this way, that if you see that the precept become the tools that help you to be happy in your life, is not something that anyone from outside the authority asks you not to do things or stop you to do something, but more on your willingness to put all these precepts into your life, provide yourself a framework of doing things in the right way. So when we see it in this way, so we don't take it as something that we have to make it everything right until that we can keep it. We can put into our own education by trying our best to do things and learn from it. Because as I tried to explain to you before, that in our life there are many situations that would be difficult for you to take all these precepts into our everyday life. But if you don't take it at all, you tend to take an easy way, and it doesn't bring anything good to our life too. But trying to keep the precept help you to be able to take some time and to think about it and try to find what is the best way that you can deal with that situation. Another thing about keeping the precept is that when you keep the precept, you provide such safety and happiness for people around you. For example, in family life, for any couple, if the husband or wife believe that their couple keeping the precept, what will happen in their life? They trust that their loved one will try to do their best to keep the precept. So there's a sense of safety here. They don't feel worried about what's going to happen when they were away from each other. They might probably change, but they know, they can trust that they're not going to be anything wrong in terms of actions and speech. So in this way, that trying to keep precept is not only doing it for yourself, but it also doing for your loved one, doing for someone who's around you. If you come to the monastery, doing the retreat, I've been living in the monastery for more than 20 years, and one of the things that I feel so grateful about being part of the community is that this is a community that I believe, I totally trust my own fellow monk, that they're not going to cheat anything on me, they're not going to steal anything on me. In our forest tradition, we can leave any of belongings anywhere, and we know that no one's going to take it without asking. So this is help us to feel so safe, and then we are able to develop other virtue. We can take time, and we can sit and close our eyes without worry that anyone could come and hurt us later. So in this way, that keeping the precept provide safety and happiness toward people around you. And also, as I said again, that keeping the precept help you to develop wisdom and virtue, because each precept tend to deal with your own kilesa, and then once you deal with it, you develop your skill in dealing with your own defilement. You develop the virtue that arise in your mind, that help you to be able to keep the precept better.